Welcome to Perry's Victory and International Peace Memorial and to our virtual Perry Education Days. I am Ranger Rob, and today I'm dressed as a U.S. infantryman. Got the tall stovepipe shako with a blue coat with red cuffs and collars. If you want to know more about the uniform, check out our talk, Are You a Nutcracker? It talks all about the uniforms of the War of 1812. Now today we're here for Lock, Stock, and Barrel. Talk about the musket, the weapon that infantrymen, soldiers, sailors could have used during the War of 1812. This is a U.S. Springfield musket, one of three basic weapons the U.S. would have used for the War of 1812 when it came to muskets. The other one is the British Brown Bess. Yes, we used a British-made weapon to shoot the British. Why? Because who do we belong to before we belong to ourselves? The British. So we have a lot of their muskets laying around, so guess what? Since before the Revolution, we can still use those. The French Charleville is another weapon we're using. Why? They were our buddies during the Revolutionary War. We still have a lot of their weapons. However, by the time of the War of 1812, our country is new, it's developing, and we're no longer buddy-buddy with the French anymore. We're not buddy with the British anymore. That's why we're at war with them. So we have started to make our own muskets late 1700s. This pattern, if you compared the Springfield to the British or to the French Charleville, you'd have almost identical weapons. Very few cosmetic differences between the two. They're built on the same pattern, the same blueprints. Now the British Brown Bess, that's what it's commonly referred to as. It is a little different. It doesn't have these barrel bands like these do. Another difference is these are 69 caliber. The Brown Bess is 75. What does that mean for someone that doesn't know anything about guns? Think of caliber as 0.75 inches or 0.69 inches. So you're using with the Brown Bess something 3/4 of an inch. 3/4 of an inch marble. Think of it that way, that you're firing at someone. In the case of the U.S. and the French weapon, you are looking at something 0.69 inches. So a pretty big size musket ball to shoot at someone back then. So that was the three guns. Where's the title of this Lock, Stock, and Barrel come from? Well, those are the three basic components of all these weapons. You got your lock, you got your stock, the wood part, and then you got the barrel. Three basic parts of your musket. That's how you disassemble it, how you clean it. How the barrel is attached is the real difference between the two of them cosmetically. Now these weapons, even though they're slightly different, they all have three things in common. First of all, they're all muzzle loaders. You're going to load them from this end. 16 steps to load and fire one time. It's a slow loading weapon. Best in the British Army, you're looking 3-4 shots a minute. U.S. Army, we're hoping 2-3 shots a minute. Our militia, the National Guard of the day, hopefully they fire a few times before running away. Militia does not have a very good track record when it comes to the War of 1812 in many cases. So slow loading weapon from that end, that's the muzzle loader part of the name of it. Next is the flintlock. This is the lock part. This is what happens when you pull the trigger. A piece of flint hits a piece of steel, sparks fall down into a pan full of powder. That powder explodes through a small vent hole, lights the powder in the barrel with a nice big bang, hopefully. Yeah, so we're relying on caveman technology here to make a weapon go bang. It can be very unreliable. Your flint could break. That little vent hole could be plugged. Heck, if it's raining, your powder gets wet. It's not going to work. Sometimes just a little grease from your fingers is enough to make it not work. Then you're stuck trying to fix it while someone's shooting at you 3 times a minute if you're in battle. It can be very unreliable. The final characteristic of this weapon is they're all muskets. Most people, when they see something big, long like this, they might automatically say rifle. No, there is a difference. Some people look at this, they see how long it is. Oh, it's long, so it's a long rifle. No, many rifles are actually a little shorter than this. Maybe this length at most. The difference really comes in because rifles have a flintlock. They're muzzle loaders. The difference is inside the barrel. Rifles have spiral grooves carved in the barrel, so when you fire a very tight-fitting ball, it spins. Makes it more accurate, hit something at greater distance with more power. Think quarterback throwing that nice spiral football downfield. Same basic idea. Musket, loose-fitting ball, so I can load it quicker. Rifle, you had to like literally almost hammer it down, ram it down. Musket, you can just about beginning a battle set up here and it'll load itself. Drops down, you ram it down, makes it easier, quicker to load. However, when you go to fire this musket, loose fitting ball, it's gonna bounce. Gas is escaping around it. Not gonna have as much power. Also, if it hits the left side of the barrel, it might go to the right. Hits the bottom, it might go up. This weapon can be very unreliable. Why did they use this weapon? It's the best that they had. Yes, they did have rifles. Rifles are more expensive. They're more, I wouldn't say fragile, but they're a little more temperamental than a musket. This flint you're relying on in a rifle is half the size or smaller. The lock is smaller. You're going to have to take time to aim at your target. So you do have riflemen during the War of 1812. Those are your more advanced, specialized infantrymen, your soldiers. So there is a part for them. But most of your battles are going to be fought in open fields. So you can get the firepower, the range, all these men, shoulder to shoulder. So now you're not just one person aiming at one person across the field. Because that's terrible accuracy. But if you got hundreds of guys with this, who cares if I don't hit the person I aim at? My buddy might get the ones I aimed at, and I get the one he aimed at. No bonus points. Your job's just to load and fire a wall of lead across the battlefield. So that's the purpose of this musket and why they use it. If you want to know more about the uniforms, why they're dressed like this, because they're only 50 yards apart. When I fire this, you'll see how much smoke this one musket throws out. Imagine having hundreds of these muskets throw out this smoke. Throw in artillery, all that noise, that smoke, the confusion. That's why they fought. Order, control. And those are the reasons why they fought the way they did, is because of this musket. Now, some other things that might happen. I said it's unreliable. This musket may not go bang. If the powder in the pan burns, but the powder in the barrel doesn't. Ever heard the saying, flash in the pan? That's one. Another thing is, right now, the musket's on half cock. I can pull the trigger, nothing happens. Ever heard the saying, don't go off half cock? Because right now, if I pulled the trigger while it's in half cock, something's wrong with the musket. The fact that it fired. It should only fire when you're in the full cock position, not the half cock. So many of these sayings we have today go back. Lock, stock, barrel, half cock, flash in the pan. All come back to this musket. Now I'm going to go through this drill and show you how infantry would have trained every day. You would have known this in your sleep. You would have practiced it day in and day out. This drill. It's just the way the Army life was back then. You drill, and it probably is the same today. So the first step, attention. Recover arms. Open pan. Notice I was facing that way. Now I'm facing this way. I've opened my pan. I've sidestepped a little turn. Why? Now the British are aiming at my shoulder. I feel I'm a smaller target. But also, if everyone does this, you get a little more elbow room to load and fire this musket. And you need that. Handle cartridge. Reach around, pull cartridge out of your box. Bite off the top. Prime. Pour a little powder in that pan. Shut pan. Load. This is is where you pour the rest of the powder down the barrel. Musket ball would also be in here. You'd load the paper, all that down the barrel at once. Draw, ramrod. Ram down. This is where you're getting the musket ball, the powder, everything down to the bottom of the barrel. Important step coming up. Return, ramrod. Make ready. Next commands will be aim and fire. It could be loud, it could be smoky, or as I said, it's unreliable. It may not. When all the muskets were ready, the officer would give the command, aim, fire. Half cock. So that was the full drill, what you practiced every day. Once you got into battle, fifes, drums going off, artillery, men screaming in pain because they've been hit. Makes it all hard to hear your commander. Plus, does your commander want to yell out every single command every time? No, he's going to simplify it. Prime and load. No, and not fire at will. They wanted that control, that order, discipline. So they'd issue the command, prime and load. Do all the same steps silently, independently. This is where you get those 2-3 shots a minute, depending on your army. Or 4 shots if you're real good. Aim. Fire. Half cock. Shoulder arms. Shut hand. Order arms. The musket was your main weapon back then, but you didn't win your battles by simply shooting at each other. You won them by controlling the ground at the end of the day, and that's where my next weapon came in hand. The bayonet. Very deadly. Turns my musket into a long spear. And you'd slowly march across the battlefield towards the enemy. Slowly. Why not running like they do in the movies? Why? Order, discipline. March across that field. You have your musket loaded. You fire your last round when you're 5-10 yards away. Then you rush to meet whoever's left. With a thrust, a twist, and a pull. This is a triangular bayonet, very deadly. First of all, it's going to put a 3-sided hole in you, very hard to heal. Next is that twisting motion. You forget to do that, you could be kicking the guy in the gut the rest of the day trying to get it out. That twist makes the hole bigger, spreads ribs apart. Break the suction. It is a deadly, nasty weapon. But that's what it was designed for, to kill another person in war. The good news, the last time we used these weapons against the British and the Canadians was over 200 years ago. Since then, that's given us the world's longest undefended border and some of our greatest friends in the world. I'd like to thank you for watching our musket demonstration program. I encourage you, check out the schedule, check out our other programs. See, well, we have many going on. We have a medical talk, we have a cooking demonstration, we have a tour of the monument, the tour of the visitor center, all sorts of things. I'd like to thank you for watching. And again, if you get the chance to visit us, we encourage you to.